All right, so we're back. Well, I guess not really, because breaking unfortunate news, Misfits 21. Misfits unfinished business will remain unfinished because KSI has pulled out of his main event fight with Dillon Danis, and because of that, they're saying the event has been postponed, but as of right now, the event has no further date to be rescheduled. So I'm taking that to mean, at least right now, this event has been canceled. It is not happening on March 29th. No replacement opponent for Dillon Danis. It's flat out just not happening. And again, normally I'd give it a little more grace, but the shots have been fired my way, so we have to respond to a grown man having a breakdown. Let's go. All right, so I wake up a little bit late today because Chloe Concept is here with your boy, you understand? It just feels nice to wake up next to my girl, stay in bed a couple of minutes longer. But I wake up to see KSI on the Twitter timeline with a direct message for the fan. Didn't even see the full announcement yet, and this is what he had to say in regards to Misfits' unfinished business and his fight with Dillon Danis.
Hey everyone, I'm going to try and make this quick. Me versus Danis. It's just not going to happen March 29th, man. I've tried my hardest, but my body has legit just given up. I'm currently in bed, taking antibiotics, trying to recover, but I'm struggling. I'm coughing up greenish yellow shit all the time. My sinuses are hurting to the point where I need ibuprofen every day. The tension headaches right here that I'm getting are more painful than you can imagine. I'm using Sudafed daily. I've tried sparring and training and my body just feels weak. My stamina is just falling off a cliff. I can't even taste right now or smell. Basically, I'm fucked. I've been ill for almost 3 weeks, and it's just not got better. You know, I've had doctors come around to try and decipher what is going on. And honestly, I've never been this ill for this long in my life, and I hate it. I feel useless, and it's depressing. I feel like I've let so many people down. I haven't been able to post any YouTube videos to help promote the fight because I've just been feeling so shit. I'm just sick of being sick, man. And yeah, I'm sorry. I want to move the fight to another day because, you know, I still want to knock out Dillon Danis. And, yeah, I didn't train this hard for nothing. Either way, I want to say sorry to everyone at Misfits, everyone at The Zone. I want to say sorry to the Sidemen for not being in as many videos as I'd like to be. And most importantly, I want to say sorry to the fans.
All right, so there you have it. You know, listen. On first watch, it's a tough situation. JJ is sick. He's ill. He's dealing with some sort of sinus infection or sinusitis or bronchitis or something of the nature, and apparently he's been dealing with it for the last 3 weeks. Listen, I'll be honest, I've been dealing with something similar for the last week, and I've been on antibiotics, and I was able to rest, rejuvenate, and rehydrate, and it took me about the last 4 or 5 days to get over, and I'm feeling good now. The problem is JJ is in the middle of fight camp, and, well, a lot of other things, and that has been one of the biggest problems with JJ fighting, is that he's committed to too many things at once, and it ends up leading to things like this happening. We'll get to that in a second. The official announcement from Misfits reads as follows. Due to an illness, KSI Misfits Boxing unfinished business scheduled for March 29th in Manchester has been postponed. Further update will be issued next week, including a new date for the event. So Misfits does seem to want to have this event go on in some capacity. Now, let's talk about logistics. I don't know where they're going to put this. They have an event coming up in Derby, I think, on April 12th. That's supposed to be Misfits 22. Do they kick that event down the line even further or trying to figure out a date in April? The problem with that, in my opinion, is not only with JJ pulling out of this fight and, you know, trying to reschedule the date, you run into a bit of fan fatigue because you already have a date on the 12th. They're supposed to fight here in March. And the big issue, not only is JJ and Dillon out, yeah, that's a bit of a bummer. Obviously, everybody wants to watch JJ fight, but the undercard, the fighters that trained and spent tens of thousands of dollars for that undercard, they no longer get to fight. The fans that booked flights and hotels that are probably going to be non-refundable because it is 8 days away from the fight as of recording of this video, I don't know that they'll be willing to part with their hard-earned money right away so soon again, so you're going to have to probably give this a little bit of time. I don't know if that's 1 month, 2 months, I'm not sure, but to convince fans to come back out to the event, to spend their money, to fly, to travel, to book hotels after having this happen. It's going to be difficult. It's not a fun situation. And again, no one's to blame. JJ's sick. It's the fight game. It happens. Even though he can't see that, and he's a little emotional, even as a grown man, to hop on Twitter, get the Twitter fingers. We've been through this before. He should have consulted the advisors. He knows better than this. But we'll talk about that in a second as well. And oh, not to mention, Danis has a fight coming up, supposedly, with the GFL on May 25th. So that's a bit of a conflict in his own right. He's going to be training now for that fight, trying to get his weight down. He's fighting that at 165. So I don't know that he'll accept a fight with KSI before that, because then he'll have to cut weight in an even shorter amount of time. So it's probably going to have to be after that. I think June, July, sometime in the middle of August, September. And that pushes back a lot of KSI's fight plans. And that's a big part that I want to spend a lot of time on this video about, is that KSI is at a real crossroads here with his boxing career, his aspirations in the ring, because what you're seeing, not only in this fight, but let's not forget, JJ also had to pull out of the 2v1 fight with Slim and AT for a hand injury. And I think that there is a growing thing that's happening with JJ and his camp and his responsibilities outside of boxing that he needs to take a real look at. And that's simple. If he wants to box, if he wants to do this, he has to dedicate fully to this. You even heard in his video, he just talked about, he's sorry to the fans. He's sorry to the sidemen for not being in as many videos. He's sorry that he couldn't promote the fight. He's sorry about a lot of these things, and I think he's being genuine there. But the problem is he's trying to do it all, and he's getting older, and his body is breaking down. It doesn't make any sense to be doing the sidemen charity game 2 or 3 weeks ago while he says he was still sick, and then trying to go and spar and train at the same time. Your body just can't handle it. You need rest. Anytime you're sick, the main thing you need is rest. And I almost guarantee you that JJ did not take any rest. I almost guarantee you that throughout these last 3 weeks, he was still trying to train and spar and get ready. And listen, I love the commitment to that. I think that's a mark of a fighter, right? To be able to mentally lock in, even when you're sick, even when you're tired, and go train. Problem is, it's counterintuitive to what he needs to do. He should have taken 3, 4, 5 days, rested, and he may have still been able to have this fight. But when you're doing sidemen charity, when you're flying to Qatar to do the whatever soccer match that was weeks before that, or a week before that, and then trying to fly back, then doing sidemen charity, then doing sidemen videos, then training twice a day boxing, then going back home and doing more sidemen stuff, and then you got an appearance for Prime, and this is the problem that JJ has had. I know he has this Ironman mentality that he wants to do it all, but you just can't. And it's up to him to make the decision. Does he want to box solely? Because it's going to take 2 or 3 months of full commitment. Nothing else going on. Just boxing. And I know that you guys, you're fans of JJ's, you're probably not going to like that, because that means he's probably not going to be in as many sidemen videos. Probably means he's not going to be doing all the extra stuff on his YouTube. And that's kind of the sacrifice you make when you box, especially as you get older, and especially as your body starts to break down and doesn't recover as quickly as it did in your mid-20s or early 20s. That's just a part of life. And I say this earnestly. I don't say this to take any shots at JJ, even though, again, a little emotional, so you have to word it correctly or he's going to get on Twitter and have a hissy fit, because as a 32-year-old man, it seems like he hasn't grown up much. These things are just necessary to happen. And I don't know that he has a lot of people around him that are willing to tell him this or tell the people that are training him this, but this is not a regular fighter. He's not someone that just does this full time. So you have to convince him, or the people training him, or the people managing him, that this is what he needs to be doing if he's going to box. Point blank, period. It's this. Take time, dedicate, or, by the way, just don't box, so you don't run into issues like this. 2 straight events KSI has had to pull out of because of some issues with his hand injury. We get it. It happens. It's the fight game. Now a sickness. We get it. It's the fight game. But these things, I think, are piling up because he's stretching himself too thin. And it's not going to work. It's going to continue happening. And if it's not in the way of him getting sickness or him getting hurt, it's going to end up with him getting in the ring not as prepared as he needs to be and getting knocked out, hurt, or beaten in a way that does in this entire boxing thing for him. So again, no blaming or anything like that for KSI getting sick. It just happens. It's part of the fight game. He's trying to get over it. But the managing of this sickness for the last 3-4 weeks, there should be no reason he's still getting sick. He's still progressively getting worse. The only thing I can think of is because he didn't rest. He's not resting. And someone's either not advising him correctly, or he's trying to push through and no one's saying, hey, you need to stop and rest for a couple of days, take your antibiotics, and this stuff will work itself out. He didn't do that, and that's probably why we're in this position. So now let's get into the drama, the things you guys are really here for, because yeah, we're all bummed that KSI can't fight on the 29th. I was gonna be there live in the arena. I'm bummed I don't get to go back to Manchester, my stomping grounds, baby. I want to know out there. But we're talking about KSI. I wanted to, in this moment, offer up a little congratulations, or at least a little credit for the other side of the aisle. Dillon Danis, a guy that, quite frankly, he's been kicked, punched, spit on, freaking talk shit about, just dogged out online throughout this entire buildup. And by the way, by me as well. I'll own up to that. I have talked that crazy shit about Dillon Danis not being locked into this fight, potentially worried about him pulling out of this fight, and so has the entire internet. That's been the narrative leading up to this fight because of what happened a couple of years ago and because of the way Dillon performed in the Logan Paul fight. So I jumped on Twitter after we had all had our reactions to the fight. I said this. Also, for all this shit that was talked about Dillon Danis pulling out of this fight, credit where it's due, he was gonna show up. This event was being carried promo-wise by him, and I get that KSI is sick, but I gotta give Dillon his credit here. He was ready to go. That tweet is specifically to credit Dillon Danis for going on Helwani's show and trying to promote this thing, for flying, by the way, to the UK for one day to do that press conference, then flying back home to New York. That's got to be a task in itself. Trust me, I hate flying to the UK. For me, it's 11 hours there, 11 hours back, time zones. It's not great. He performed, I thought, well in the face-to-face. You had some great one-liners. He was trying, even with the whole weird, you can't speak about specific things in the contract, which I still don't know how we're at that point where Dillon can't talk about certain things leading up to a fight. And I get it. There's some personal things that, again, we're going to get into in a second. But Dillon trying to promote, even with the parameters on him, I thought he deserved credit for that. And he was going to show up, at least this time, so credit where it's due. Somehow KSI took this as a shot at him. And somehow, 2 years later, to the day where KSI said to me, fuck you and everything you stand for, he still has not learned to not act emotionally on Twitter without even reading the tweet. He quote tweeted that and said, shut the fuck up, you annoying waste of oxygen. Ironic for the man that's laying in bed with the cold and the sickness to be talking about the waste of oxygen doing something like this right now. Surely your knees hurt so much at this point from sucking off Jake Paul and his team all the fucking time. Give it a rest. OMG, you think I want to be in this situation? What the fuck is wrong with you? I like how he capitalized the last part so that we could all understand he was yelling in the tweet, right? He was calm at the first part. The last part, he was really angry and yelling. Again, I have to say this is a grown man, by the way. So anyway, listen, when you take personal shots at me, I'm going to respond. And, you know, calling me a waste of oxygen, I don't know how he hasn't learned 2 years down the line. But the formula is take a breath, think about it, consult the advisors, potentially give up the Twitter to management like you did before, and then if you still want to tweet at me, have a go at it. But he still hasn't learned, and I responded this way. I said, LMAO, you just never learn, do you? Always so emotional you can't even be bothered to read. No one said you wanted this. As a matter of fact, this tweet had nothing to do with you. I was giving Dillon his credit for doing his job and being locked into this fight. I guess he thought that I was talking about him in the first part of the sentence where I said, you know, people talking shit about Dillon pulling out. He did say that, but that wasn't just him. That was the entirety of the internet, me included. I was kind of taking a shot at myself. Then I said, no idea what Jake had to do with this, but today was the wrong day to play that card. And the reason I said that's because I dropped this video today. Jake Paul is delusional. I mean, it's just, it writes itself. And again, at the end here, I just wanted to make sure if we're going to throw personals out that we do it correctly. And I said, the only person wasting oxygen here is you, pal. Slap another nasal strip on and give it a rest like you should have weeks ago. Maybe then you'd be fighting this week. Now again, I didn't want to be nasty with JJ. I have no reason to. But when you come at me, again, over a tweet that had nothing to do with you, I will respond. That's sound advice I'm giving him. More so than it seems anybody in his own camp even gave him, because when he was sick over these last 3 weeks, all someone needed to do was be like, yo, you need to rest. I know that that means missing out on maybe a week of sparring and training, and that's pretty fucking tough. I get that. But at the same time, JJ should have been training exclusively for this fight for the months leading up to this. And if he felt he wasn't prepared because of the sickness and potentially the other things outside of boxing that he was doing, then that's a look in the mirror moment to say, why are you doing this? You are successful in all types of different areas of life. You don't need to box. So at least if you're going to do it exclusively, because that's the respect this sport deserves. Point blank, period. You cannot cut corners with this thing, whether it's with your time, your effort, or anything else. And I know JJ gave a ton of effort, and he always does. It's just a matter of committing and blocking out everything else. And again, we also had Dillon Danis, who, of course, you knew this was going to happen, going absolutely nuts after he heard JJ pulled out. I remember my first Cole played in a full charity match 2 weeks ago and has been sick for 3 weeks. He retweeted my thing, of course. Now, again, this one right here I think is corny. KSI girlfriend reveal. That's silly to me. Like, that's corny work. He did it with, you know, Logan and Nina and the whole thing. She was a public figure. Even then, it was still just kind of lowbrow, bottom of the barrel shit. But KSI's girlfriend's a private citizen. No need to go after her. And again, that's corny. And then I saw this. KSI responds to Dillon Danis. If you want a number on your head, go ahead. And again, Dillon is corny for doing that. But JJ, this is also corny. Like, you're not a gangster. I guess that's insinuating like he's going to have him killed. I don't know. Like, what the fuck is that insinuation? But that's self-incrimination, if anything. And it's just, we don't need to do that. This kind of stuff is what Dillon does to get in the gutter with him and really even to respond to me when I wasn't even speaking about you. Shows that JJ right now is emotional and he's very frustrated, obviously, with the fact that he can't fight and this, that, and the other. But these type of things, JJ has to learn, do not help him and make the entire situation backfire in his face. And either he just doesn't care about it or he's just so wrapped up in his emotions that he can't let it go. And that's the one thing, not to psychoanalyze, that's the one thing JJ needs to do right now is just let go of all these things that he's doing and stretching himself to do and getting emotional about and giving stress to and ironically wasting oxygen on, and just decide, do you want to fight or do you want to do everything else? Because I think we're in this situation because you can't fault JJ for getting sick. People get sick, it happens. But how that team handled him being sick, how this fight could have gone, should he have been more just in the boxing and not doing all the other stuff, I still think we probably would have had it on March 29th. And I think that's a lesson for him to learn from if he's willing to accept it. Do I think he is? No. Do I think he'll do exactly what he wants to do and continue preparing and training and doing all the stuff he's doing? Yeah, I think he will. And I think it will bite him in the ass once again somewhere down the line. These things tend to be patterns that repeat over and over. That seems to be what's starting to happen. And I hope he can recognize that because I think like everybody else, I want to see JJ fight. It's never been personal with me until he makes it personal. But regardless, I still want to see him fight. And I hate that this has happened for him, for Dillon, for the event, mostly for the fighters on the undercard and the fans that paid to watch. It's all a mess. It's all a terrible thing. Do they reschedule it? And when do they reschedule it? I don't have those answers. I hope that it's sooner rather than later, but there look like there's a couple roadblocks that are going to be in place that maybe that can't happen. But I don't have those answers as to what happens next with KSI, with Dillon, with the entire card. It's pretty disappointing and unfortunate. But JJ should just sit back, relax, take a breather, and realize it'll be okay. Unless he makes it worse on himself. But until then, I have no idea what happens, so guess we'll find out.